I think the best place to start this would be with a hypothetical. What if you could travel into your own memories? We take you, your consciousness, and we create a simulated version of yourself. Any memory you want. You could be there all over again, watching it unfold right in front of you.
We have an offer.
Now, the idea is you go into the memories of an accused man, see if he did the crime.
It's unethical. It's an invasion of privacy.
It's just a presentation.
Mr. Jacobs. Are we gonna do this?
The process will hurt a bit.
Maybe not for me. It's a wild ride up there.
What's happening?
You gotta get me out of here. Something's wrong with Minnie.
You know, I actually kind of feel for the filmmakers behind Extracted because it's a low budget film and they've been working on putting this together for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So apparently when they went to the theater and saw Inception, they were like, fuck!
You know what? Yeah, I guess it didn't help when the filmmakers were in town while they were screening this movie because I think I screamed out, "Hey, this is ripping off Inception!"
That's so funny that that would be that big of a deal because when you say it, I can see the similarities.
Yeah.
But for the most part, watching it, I didn't think of Inception at all.
It wasn't until it was about the halfway point, and before that I found that I was more thinking along the lines of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind or something like that.
Kinda.
Because it's a film that deals with sort of people injecting themselves into other people's memories.
Yeah.
You know, but watching it, I mean, I did think like, you know what, this could easily be the prequel to Inception, like how it all began, you know.
Yeah.
So the Inception world, you know, they throw you in like this is already, you know, we've used this I don't know how many times. With this is like they're developing it. It's a guy who's trying to develop this I guess it's some kind of way of getting into people's heads for the good reason, for good reason, in order to help them out.
To help people who are suffering from mental disturbance or retardation, or people who, like they say, who need to tell without talking, which there's certainly lots of people who are that way. They have
people who have spill accounts.
Yeah. Who could do a little less typing and a little more doing.
I don't mind all that. Just leave the retarded stuff alone, you know? Yeah, I need something to make jokes.
But you're right. This is like Inception Year Zero. Like, Leonardo DiCaprio was what's eating Gilbert Grape age, is what we're talking about. Right? He isn't wearing three-piece suits. He's just climbing trees and looking retarded.
Yeah. So. And almost drowning.
Man, you gotta get off this retarded
stuff. Nothing personal. I apologize to the retarded members of the Spill audience. You know who you are.
I was born retarded.
It's too many of them for us to start slashing our fan base.
No, they rarely crawl out of the forums. So.
I guess that's true.
Anyway, so yeah, this follows Sasha Royce, who, I don't watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he was, I wanted not really the bad guy, but he was like the main guy in the two-part season finale where they go back to their high school reunion. He was a cool guy that they all wanted to have like them.
Okay. I only recognize him from Land of the Dead, so he was one of the soldiers, this poor son of a bitches that got shot, and you know they disposed of him real quick.
If you watch TV, you've seen him in something.
Yeah, he's one of those TV actors where you look at his credits, and you see all these shows he's in, you're like, dang, I watched those shows. I just don't remember seeing him in it.
He is one of those, it's that guy actors that you can't place, but you know you've seen him in stuff.
I have a feeling he's still gonna be that guy, you know?
Extracted,
maybe not.
Extracted is low budget enough of a film that I'm afraid it's going to look back as a credit. Like, I saw that at a festival.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to see this at your local Cinemaplex. But anyway, sorry, let's get back into the actual review. So, Sasha, who plays Tom, has developed this system for, as co-host said there, basically being able to inject yourself into somebody else's memories to be able to observe them and then comfortably again back out. But as the process has gone along, much to the disturbance of his partner and his wife, who are very more upset about it than he is. He at this point just wants to see the goddamn thing get completed. The mysterious backer appears to have other motivations other than just for the good of all mankind, which is a no-brainer. I mean, when they're like, look, we're going to use it to find out, like, you know, what, like, terrorists actually know and stuff like that. And I was like,
company secrets.
Okay, I realize that there's some constitutionality involved here, but it sure beats the shit out of torture, right?
Well, it's an interesting setup because, yeah, they want to get the project made and their finances have gone out, and like, I guess their finance guy or manager is like, all right, look, I got a guy. They want to invest the money. Good. Let's do this. and then find out that like, well, they might
It's
not be on the
goatsy.
up and up. Yeah, it's when I was like, well, shit. Now what I do? I need this money to
What
make
a
this
shocker.
happen.
This guy was going to give us millions of dollars for pure altruism. I can't believe I didn't see that coming.
Well, I kept thinking like, okay, it's the mafia. I don't know what the mafia wants to use this for. But then it turns out, okay, criminal justice system, a
Right.
prison warden. Like, hey, we got prisoners. This way we can find out if they're guilty or not. That's the kind of compromise where you could talk yourself into it, where somebody else might be like, I don't know, man, that's stepping on somebody's rights, but you need that money. I mean, you don't just want it. You're not just greedy. You need this money for your family and whatnot. It's
Right.
like,
He's at that point.
yeah, it's at that desperation point where you could talk yourself into like, well, ultimately, it could be a good thing. I can see a lot of good things with it.
Yeah, it's either this or working at Taco Bell.
Exactly.
So, you know,
It's
fuck it.
not like an invention that profound would only be used for the one good thing. Of course it's going to have.
Maybe. You don't know, Cyrus. They might be responsible. They signed a contract.
There's good things about nuclear power and there's bad things
Exactly.
about nuclear power. And you're not going to have it like just one way or the other, I'm
No.
afraid, until the end of the world and the mutants and the Road Warrior. But we'll talk about that
Yes,
later.
that's
with
another
Ghost.
movie.
So he's like, all right, so we can build this, but they're like, we need to show it to the guy now. He's like, well, we're not really ready. I mean, a lot of stuff in here, I mean, like, we're pretty sure it works, but there's a lot of placeholder stuff in it, like things that are just like where there should be an image. There's just like a X, like on a computer.
Yeah.
where there used to be a
As somebody
JPEG.
who's worked at a game company, I know all about how they stick placeholders in
Yeah.
just to show shit when the deadline is up.
Right, exactly the situation he finds himself in. And in fact, they bring in a prisoner who they're like very sure committed this crime of killing his girlfriend, but it's mainly just a test case. It's like, here's a guy, he volunteered to do this, and like, we're going to send the inventor himself, Tom, is going to go inside his head in front of these people where they can even on a monitor see what he sees. And just to prove to him that this works. Great. It works. They go in. Yep. There it is. And yep, we just watched him on screen kill his girlfriend. So we know it works. All right. Time
good job.
time to go. Let's turn it off. You can turn it off now. Hey,
guys.
I'm still in here.
all right. That's funny, guys. Like, come on, let me out.
Flash to 4 years later.
Yeah, which you know what? Thank God they didn't show us all that 4 years of him just sitting around in that guy's head. God knows doing what. God can only imagine what that poor son of a bitch was looking at the entire time. God knows I don't want nobody running around in my fucking head.
Well, especially considering this guy was such a low-level drug addict. It's like, man, your head is really uninteresting. You ever read a book? Just saying. Go to a movie. Do something.
Yeah, it's not even that it's boring. It's just that it wouldn't matter what it is. After 4 years of going through just a limited amount of memories over and over again, where you can't really interact with them at all you can be is a spectator. Yeah, anybody be bored off their ass. The only person you can interact with is a pre-programmed voice, like an AI they put into the thing. Not even an AI, a VI.
Okay.
You know,
It's the coolest VCR you can possibly have if you want to like walk around your videotapes, I guess.
Exactly.
You know?
But no one else realizes he's stuck in this guy's head. They just
think
thought-
he's in a coma.
Yeah, he's in a coma. It's like, oh, well, he's on life support and we don't know what else to do. So we're not even sure if he's vegetative or not.
Yeah, I mean, thank God they didn't pull the plug on him.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, the guy who made the movie. God probably wasn't involved. God's like, no, I don't like the way that movie went.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, as far as like the premise where it goes from there, because it becomes a movie of whodunit in a way.
Yeah.
And, that part of it, I was like, all right, this is the concept of it is interesting, even though too bad, Inception beat you to the punch. But I was hoping it would get a little bit more interesting as soon as they started getting involved with this guy who's been convicted of his girlfriend's murder. I was hoping to get a little bit more interesting, but it really didn't until towards the tail end where I was like, all right, I've been really trying to not like, okay, I guess we all saw this in the screener.
Yeah.
I was really trying hard not to fast forward it at some parts because there's a lot of parts that just kind of dragged on, and I was like, am I just not interested in this simple whodunit story now where it seemed like the premise, it was going to go into more interesting territory than just sticking to that.
Well, it was definitely longer than it needed to be. It felt like there was a lot of filler. Like we got to get to at least an hour and a half, or it's not really a movie. That seems to be the general rule. At least an hour 20, right?
Right.
But I think it kept winning me back. I mean, the idea is that he reaches this point where he starts there's a point where the memory changes and the guy whose head he's in as a younger person sees him for a second, like, and reacts, but then it flashes back to the beginning. He's like, what the fuck just happened? So he realizes that when the guy is thinking about that memory at the same time that he's in it, he can actually interact with them. Like he can communicate with them, and that leads him on not only a possible solution to get out of the guy's head, but sort of devil's bargain with him, because this guy, even though the memory is there of him shooting his girlfriend, insists that something is wrong and that he didn't actually do this thing.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't do it. It's like, dude, I just watched you do it. For 4 years, I watched you do it.
Right.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like if this movie misses its mark at all, and this is addressing specifically what you're saying about like it just kind of like going on for too long, it's that it had so much room to discuss the really fascinating thing about human consciousness and memory. The way, like, you know, when you look at studies of memory, or like very little of what we actually remember is very accurate at all.
Sure.
You know, our memories are so fucked up, and the more time that's spread, the longer. I mean, they've done studies where people just from the night before, they talked to 5 different people about an event that happened, and they got 5 extremely different stories of what happened. So, like, going into that to some level and about, like, talking about memories would have made this a much more interesting movie, but I felt like someone somewhere said, no, we're just trying to make this like a sci-fi, like, mystery. Let's pull back. Our audience isn't that smart.
I never felt that it even, like, what you're talking about would be cool if that was their idea. And I don't think that was ever their idea. I mean, if to me, it felt like they accomplished exactly what they were going for. It's funny because I remember you guys were talking like, yeah, it's so much like Inception, Leon. You probably like it better than Inception. I was like, you guys don't know me. You guys know me. I did like it better than Inception because
I'm sad for you
because it was, you know what? The motivations for what they were doing were stronger. I really believed in like, okay, how a person could get pulled into this. Cause there were so many times in Inception, I was like, man, it's dangerous y'all make this sound. I understand why this guy's doing it. I don't understand why the rest of y'all are doing this. I just kind of don't buy it. And it wasn't convoluted. It didn't go in a lot of crazy places. It was a tight story that kept me going. And where's the point, of course, you talked about getting bored. Maybe I would have. I was wondering, where's this going to go? But then it does that thing, Cyrus, you brought up where it's like, wait a minute. There's something new has been added here. And now I do have kind of a mystery. It almost reminded me of Source Code in a way when it started getting into the second half.
Yeah, it's, you know, the guy, we're visibly watching him, double think everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, like, it's kind of an action adventure going on towards the end, and the last 20 minutes or so, while this guy is frantically scrambling around this guy's head the whole time. Stop! What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, of low budget sci-fi movies, which most of them I usually don't like, I love this one.
Wow, loved.
Loved. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, with Source Code, at least the entire premise of that movie, I just found completely fascinating, especially, you know, trying to figure out, okay, this guy who's going in, you know, the guy who's going in to this memory or whatever. It's like, you know, how did he get there? What is he all about? With this, like, none of these characters really intrigued me besides the guy who had been stuck in the convict's memory. But even when they go to him, he's just kind of passé about the whole experience, where he's like, yeah, I've been here for about 4 years, and wow, yeah, hey, what's on TV now? And, you know,
I know, I think after 4 years, like the first year is a lot of frantic panicking.
Yeah.
And what the fuck?
Yeah.
And the second year is like, I'm gonna get smart about this. And the third year is like, okay, I might have to get realistic. And by the fourth year, it's like, what you gonna do?
Wait. It would have been interesting to see him actually, like, you know, revisit that guy at that moment after 4 years and see him a completely changed person, just like almost on the borderline of insanity.
Like,
you know, and to see
Tom
him
Hanks and Castaway.
Sure. Yeah. And see him like try to get his sanity back, but also trying to figure out this mystery involving this guy who's been, you know, who supposedly killed his.
And we are both, admittedly, both of us are doing, well, this is the way I would have made it.
You know, you can't help. And you know, you're right, because you know, you can't help but do that, because the movie kind of makes you, because while you're sitting there, you're just like,
A lot of wasted potential.
Yeah, it's like, and that's exactly what I wanted to say.
This
There's
would
a lot
be
of
so
wasted
good
potential.
if it had like
Yeah.
a Hans Zimmer soundtrack and like Christopher Nolan directed it.
If it had, if somebody had poured another $100 million into it, when it could explore all these ideas you guys keep bringing
Maybe
up.
have a kick-ass scene where people are fighting in a hallway and the hallway just keeps spinning around. Something cool.
Honestly, really, I mean, you nailed it when you said it's like a prequel to Inception in some ways, like a little small film. It feels like they should have animated it and made like an Inception animatrix.
Yeah, you're right. That would have been a way better idea.
So is this review all about the movies you guys wish you could
Yes,
have made?
yes, it is. Because
the
I mean,
actual movie itself.
because like with such a interesting idea like this, I mean, I mean, especially seeing Inception. I mean, if I was that director, I'd be like, man, you know what? Fuck, let's just release this on the internet. You know, maybe it'll find its audience, because I mean, it's like, how do you compete with something with such bigger ideas than you initially had? I mean, I really do feel bad for the director, knowing that he saw Inception and he was just like, well fuck.
Well, yeah, because it felt like a lot more original idea when he came up with it, and then it was like, well, everyone in the world is so familiar with this idea now.
I'm sure
Yeah.
when he saw, what was that, the one with Matt Damon and Emily Blunt, some kind of
The Adjustment Bureau.
adjustment bureau. He's like, what the fuck?
a little too late here.
Yeah. But I give him credit. I give him, you know, you saying that though, I will give him credit, because there were moments in this that it did start to pick up. It seemed like somebody was probably like looking in the editing room. It's like, you know what, something needs to happen in this. Okay. And it seems like as soon as I'm like, okay, I'm ready to just turn this off. They did pick up, when they started to pick up with the mystery of it, they made it a little interesting for me, you know, where I kept watching till the end. So I have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, it's good you're giving him credit, because I'm sure he's going to have trouble getting it from his bank after this.
Yeah.
It's just hard to market something like this at this point. Like I said, and when all the things we're talking about, when we're joking, like, this is what I would have done, it was more because, like I said, there's so much wasted potential. There's so many things I'm like, this just isn't that interesting, A, in lieu of stuff that we've already seen, and B, just long stretches where nothing actually happens. It's like, the conceit is interesting, but once again, only in the sense that, like, if you hadn't seen it before, but we very much had, because that is the majority of what this film has going for it, is look how neat this concept is. The rest of it never really plays out that satisfactory. Like, you even, or was it you? I can't remember if it was you, Leon, who said that, like, you expect him to be going a little crazier in there. And yeah, that bothered me. You've been in there for,
that was co-host.
Oh, was it? I was like, that bothered me. Not an idea of like, we should have seen the film where he was. That's a criticism in the sense of like, anybody would have been that way. Is 4 years, you would have been like kind of losing your mind by that point yourself.
Watching the same
and he's
tape
just
over and over.
He's just kind of bored. And I was like, I'm having trouble buying
Had
that.
he not been a scientist who had worked with this so long, maybe I would have thought that he was just a regular Joe. But he had to have more of a logical, let me think this through mind than just the average person.
I agree, but I think there's a limit to that, even so. And there's a point that
Maybe
you go,
not.
they clearly don't even know I'm in here. And I can't contact anybody. I can't do anything. I mean, people go crazy in isolation. I mean, that's a scientific fact for your ass.
But it's not isolated. I mean, he does have something to watch and interact with. Yeah, it's the same thing, but there's still always new things to explore in somebody's memory. Stuff that the person you're in doesn't even know.
Hey, Leon, one time I spent 2 hours in a line at Best Buy waiting to buy a fucking video game. Those people sitting in that line for 2 hours went absolutely batshit insane. And I'm talking like 30 minutes of sitting there. I'm talking about, hey, I don't care if you're a scientist or a goddamn banker. You're gonna go nuts. It's the human condition to go insane whenever you're stuck in a place for more than an hour.
I don't think that's true at all.
So there was a scientist and a bishop in line. Which went crazy first? Is the question. What was the video game, out of curiosity?
What was the video game?
Yeah.
It was the Arkham City.
Oh, fair enough. So you say once, you mean like a couple weeks ago.
No, I mean, but it was interesting just seeing how people were gradually like going nuts, going crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was very slow from the start, and you're just like, okay, is this fucking line gonna move?
That Joker is so insidious.
Yeah, I know. And there's plenty of shit to look at. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of shit they can browse on the shelves while they're waiting in this line that's going nowhere, but they still get like tedious and like, I want to get the fuck out of
Now
here.
imagine that for 4 years with
4 years.
with a VI robot voice with no personality of its own, with nothing original to say on any level. It's like a Commodore 64 interface, pretty much.
I have to break this analogy because in that one, people are having to stand in one spot for the whole time.
Really, that's the only thing that makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference when you got to stand in one spot for hours.
Hey, look, all
It's
I know.
like 1 hour. I've been out for Black Friday for hours standing in line. So 1 hour does not make you go crazy. I'm sorry.
You've been trained, all right?
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah, I don't understand that world at all.
It's a Black Friday thing.
I'd be covered in baby gravy, you know, of my own because when I'm bored, I'd start to jerk off. So you know,
Wow, I love
that's
how
another story.
Sometimes the most personal details are revealed.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's how I keep my sanity.
But it's one of these films. It's just unfortunately timed. I think there are good qualities about it, but it's not enough to make it like a must see. It's certainly a decent enough rental, and I can only assume that someone will pick it up to that degree.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, it definitely is a rental. You know, if you are kind of in the category of you thought Inception was just stupid, like Leon, you probably dig the hell out of this. You know, it is you
so
know,
much violence.
it is one of those movies that, you know, I can appreciate the guys coming up with the concept first, you know, so I'll give them a little credit for that. But, you know, I definitely think this probably would have made a better short. Like, I think what you said, it would have made a better short, like a 10-minute short animated to get its point across. Watching it, they could have cut out a good hour out of the movie and I would have been satisfied. But, you know, the thing is, like, it really just didn't give me anything new besides, you know, just a concept that I've seen done 100 times better. So, you know, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's a rental. Good performances by everyone, but kind of wasted.
Well, yes, good performances by everyone. And you're right. If you're the kind of person who, was able to see Inception for the convoluted, overwrought, flawed film that it is.
Very flawed, by the way.
Here's one that is a low budget, but admirable, what they did with the budget, tighter film that, you know, it doesn't go off in a lot of crazy directions or string you out with a long ass, fight scene in the snow that would not end for shit. But I found it interesting. There was never a point when I was bored. And so often with these, small screeners, especially the sci-fi ones, there's just things I find that are silly or boring. And that just never happened. I really put it on thinking I might surf the internet while I watched it. And I put the internet away and I was completely into it. Great performances. I love the lead actor. He really carried, this piece. And then there's a mystery to back it up at the end that kept me going. I mean, if it was a higher budget movie or had more of those things that wows people, I might have even given it full price. But as it was.
Inception?
No, that would have been better than
But as it was, I give it a matinee. I thought they did a great job of what they had to work with.
I feel it's important at this point, though, that I point out that them saying that, and they didn't say they had the idea first. I mean, who the fuck knows, right? Mm-hmm. But, you know, they were working on this supposedly before Inception came out. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like,
okay.
But that being said, this is all word of mouth from the Q&A. So for all I know, like, someone goes, wow, you just kind of ripped off Inception. And the director, like, was spitballing and was like, no, we were working on this before that. How did I not see Inception?
It's not even the same.
I should have listened to all my friends. Like, so why did I listen to Leon from Spill instead of the other more rational friends?
Well, it's a similar idea, but it's not even the same. And Inception is dreams and these are memories. And they aren't the same thing.
Well, no, I agree. That's why I was saying there's a good degree of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in here, too, which is why they don't win any points. So, sorry.
Well, even that was a complete, oh, well, whatever. I mean, you guys got it in for this movie.
I just love looking at Leon right now.
Okay.
Look, this is, never mind.
Hey, I had a good time. Y'all the ones sitting there with sourpusses. I wanted a different movie.
No, we're just having fun at your expense.
If there was some way, Leon, that you can
I just wish Batman could have been in it.
If there was
then it would have been cool.
If there was some way that you can actually go in my mind and make that possible, you know, I would have loved
I couldn't fight the giant spider.
Sir, do you deny that Batman being in this would not have made it more cool? I put it to you, sir. Remember, you are under oath.
Hell, Aquaman in this would have made it a better movie.
Then I would just have to deal with you fucks going like, well, I just ripped off that episode of Batman the Animated Series that had Hugo Strange. God damn it.
Oh, you know my history, not me. I know myself.
The memory starts to unravel. All it takes is one tiny little trigger.
What are you gonna do now?
What to do? It's in my best interest.
We don't have time for this.
Can you see him?
I need to go to one more memory.
Take me! Is that enough? You get killed, you kill Tom!
Are you sure you remember?
Are you?